Hi, fam. Welcome to Ask to My Eyes.
where we challenge you to stop playing and start pushing.
This right here is my baby, my wife, Fiona.
And this right here, this is my boo thing, my sweetie pie, my husband, Ayize. All right, y'all, coming to you really quickly today because we want to give you a fundamental concept that you must master if you want to be successful in any relationship. When you are married, when you are committed, when you are with someone who you care about, you really want to get this when it comes to communication. And so we know that communication is one of the number one barriers that couples experience to intimacy, to closeness, to really being able to understand each other. We know that's like a major thing,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We hear it all the time, and we, in our work with couples, are oftentimes having to support people with this basic premise. But if you could just get this, it's easier said than done. It would be revolutionary, though, if you were to get it. And here it is. When you are communicating, oftentimes just based off of human habit, just based off of who you be and how you flow, and whatever you're talking about or whatever it is that is on your heart, you are communicating in a way where you really, really, really want for someone to get your point. You're communicating because you want to be heard. It is human nature to want to be heard. It is human nature, is it not, to want to be validated, for someone to nod their head when you're talking to them, for somebody to give you eye contact, because what it tells you is that I'm feeling you, I see you, oh, I hear you. And so when you're talking to another person, particularly your spouse or your partner, the one you love, you are off the top communicating because you want to get that point out. You need them to understand you, and you need to get it out. And so here's the okie doke that we often fall for, and there's so many couples that we have talked to and worked with over the years have fallen for. If you really want to be understood, you cannot communicate with the intention to get your point across. That sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, repeat that.
You cannot communicate with the intention to get your point across. That's not the point of communication, right? So what you want to do is when you're talking to your boo, you want to communicate in a way that they will hear you. You want to communicate in a way that they will be able to receive your message. You want to communicate in a way that ultimately they will be able to understand. And so that is very different from just trying to get your point across. Because when you're trying to get your point across, you're just trying to do you. I mean, you may think, and for the most part, we often feel like, yeah, I want you to understand what's really real out here. I'm trying to tell you something, right? But we're doing it based off of our own sense of what makes sense. We're doing it based off of our own preferences. We tend to operate with our partner in ways that work well for us, but we don't tend to stop and think about what works well for them. So I mean, I'm gonna give you a little point. This really wasn't a bad, it can bump up into the communication piece, but the other night, matter of fact, just last night, do you remember? Well, so look, this is just a point to kind of lift up this point of how we operate based on what works for us, and we're doing it with good intentions, but we don't think to ask our partners. I asked my husband, I said, look, can you get up in the middle of the night, one of our children needed some medicine, can you get up in the middle of the night to give the medicine, because that's typically my role. I do that. I hold that down. And my husband proceeded, after he said yes he was going to do that, he proceeded to like get his stuff and roll out the bedroom blanket, pillow, right? Oh, I got in my feelings, right? That put me in a bad place. Like, what the heck? I just asked, can I get some help? And this man decides he rolling out, right? And so what we were able to come to today is that he actually did that with the right intention.
I absolutely did.
So he says.
I did.
But that's what he said, right? He did it with the right intention. And he said, I rolled out, I wanted to give you space so that I wouldn't wake you up in the middle of the night because you're so tired, and I didn't, bother you, right? And what I know about my husband is that is what you would have appreciated.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? You would like, if I was to roll out and so you wouldn't have to be disturbed at all, hear me moving around, what you'd be like, peace. That works. But for me, I was offended. It didn't work for me. I actually felt like, so I asked for something and then you decided, well, I can't even sleep with you in the same bed. So you see how we as two different people, took that behavior completely different. And so our point again is, and I've been running my mouth the whole time.
Let you flow.
It's 4 minutes and 51 seconds into the video.
You're handling your business.
No, you got to speak on it. I'm just saying the point is this. You have to communicate with your partner in mind. How do they best hear you? Think about your tone. Think about the language, the specific words that you use. Are there words that trigger them? Are there certain tones that don't work well with them? You know, your verbal and your nonverbal. What is your face looking like? What is your eye contact doing? Does it work or does it not work for them? These are just a few of the things that you can be looking at about your partner, and then you communicate and you adjust yourself based on what works for them. And the message that you are attempting to get across all of a sudden starts to be able to get through because you are communicating for them, not for yourself. If you don't know the answers to those questions, just a few of those questions I just threw out there, then that already lets you know you talking, but you ain't communicating. At the end of the day, I guess you ain't saying nothing.
You said it all, baby.
Stop lying.
Start pushing.
Start pushing. Peace, y'all.